They're everywhere, aimed at you. TV ads about the governor's race. Right now on Face the State, he says he'll fix Connecticut. Republican candidate for governor David Stemmerman is here, along with candidate for lieutenant governor Jamie Stevenson. She runs a successful town. Can she parlay that to the state capitol? We'll discuss with Christine Stewart of CT News Junkie. She's on the gubernatorial beat. Plus, our flashback. 10 years ago, Dan Malloy talked about what was wrong with Connecticut and what he thought needed to be done to fix the state. It's all straight ahead this Sunday morning, July 15th, 2018.
From Eyewitness News, Connecticut's most watched local political program, this is Face the State.
And a very good Sunday morning to you. I'm Dennis House. Thanks so much for joining us. 32 days now left until you, the voters, go to the polls in the primary to help thin out that field for governor. Right now, there are 2 Democrats running, Ned Lamont and Joe Ganim. There are 5 Republicans on the ballot, Mark Boughton, Tim Herbst, Steve Obsitnik, Bob Stefanowski, and David Stemmerman, who is with us today. Mr. Stemmerman, good to see you back here on the program.
Dennis, great to be with you.
You just recently started television ads. How much do you plan on spending on the ads, do you think?
Well, we've been on television now for a few weeks. You may have seen us up with the box, outside the box. We've been introducing myself because I started running a business, and this is the first time that I have the opportunity to introduce myself to people to be their governor.
How much do you plan on spending on the ads, do you think, overall?
So we have, in June, we spent about $800,000, and the way that we're going to do this is we're going to keep building through the election. What you saw is I am committed to supporting this campaign. I initially contributed $1.8 million, another million, and I invested another $10 million. And what's important for people to know is that I don't owe the Hartford Insiders anything. I don't owe anybody anything. And so I'm going to be able to be independent. I can fund my campaign in the primary and whoever the competition is in the general.
A recent conversation I had with a columnist who he said to me, you know, I can't tell those 3 businessmen apart, the Obsitnik, the Stemmerman, the Stefanowski, especially the last 2, because the names are kind of similar.
Yep.
What's the difference between you and the other 2 businessmen running for governor?
Well, one of the first key differences is, are you somebody who's started a business, who's been responsible for the bottom line and has created jobs, or are you somebody that's worked in a big corporation and has been downsizing for the last several years? So it's a big difference. Are you a business person who's an entrepreneur and somebody who started a business? I started my business, an investment business, from a single desk in 2008 and grew it to manage billions of dollars for our clients, investing in all kinds of companies all over the world. The other thing that I would say is, yes, the biography is important, but what we're looking for now is who's going to lead this state. This is about leadership here. And the 2 things that we've been emphasizing is, first, is we are the only campaign in either side that's been recognized by the Hartford Courant as offering a specific plan with details. And the second thing is, who is going to fight for the people of Connecticut? Who has that independence? Who has that drive to actually make the tremendous changes that we need to make in our state?
One of the key components of your plan to revitalize Connecticut is to sit down with the unions and make some changes. They're going to have to make some more concessions, you said, under a Stemmerman administration, and if not, it'll end up in court. Tell us about that.
So again, coming back to our plan, which is on our website, davidstemmerman.com, we've been very clear. The state employee contracts can't be reformed, they need to be restructured. And when I was in Norwalk at Open Door, which is a homeless shelter, a guy there, when he got introduced to me, said, "Oh, you're the guy who's here to take away my pensions." And I said, "No, no, no. I'm the person here to save your pensions." What I said to him that I say to union people all over, you've been lied to for decades. Politicians and state employee bosses for the unions have been telling you one thing, but they've never been putting the money aside. And I think it's horrible. I think it's a disgrace. It's unfair to those families and their retirees. The money's never been put aside. But it's also unfair to the taxpayer that's been asked to guarantee benefits they can't earn themselves. And you know who else it's unfair? It's unfair for our children. So when I first talked about this policy, I did it also in Norwalk at Tracy Elementary School, where I said we have never fully funded the education cost-sharing formula because we are paying for benefits that people just can't earn. And so it's going to be a tough conversation, but we had a very important Supreme Court decision, maybe we'll talk about it, where now instead of going to the employee union bosses, we can go right to the employees and have an honest conversation with them.
And speaking of the Supreme Court, you recently mentioned Brett Kavanaugh, that once he is approved, once he's confirmed to be on the High Court, that if the unions should fight you on any concessions, it could go all the way to the High Court, and perhaps Kavanaugh would rule in your favor, correct?
Yes, so my view with all these things is it's better to bring people together. In the business that I began in 2008, start of the worst financial crisis, we couldn't have made it through for our clients and for our business if it was a one-person show. You need to bring people together. And what we're going to do is we're going to offer to the state employees and their unions something better than what they otherwise would have. They're going to have greater security in their retirement. But what we need to make sure that they understand and the state employees understand is our state is facing a financial crisis. Bloomberg News said just a few weeks ago, this state is at risk of default. That's a stunning thing. It means that we might not be able to pay our bills going forward. And so we need to do something different. What they need to understand is that if they will not join us, they will not be a part of the solution together. They know that we need to do this independently. And what I've said is that we have the Constitution on our side. Our country came together as a set of sovereign states, and each of them have their own sovereign powers. And when Judge Kavanaugh becomes Justice Kavanaugh, I'm confident we will have 5 votes on the Supreme Court that agrees with this point of view.
You've used the word crazy to describe some regulations and some taxes that you say impede business in Connecticut and actually basically send a message to out-of-staters that, no, you should not come to our state. Which regulations are you talking about, and how will you get rid of them, and how will you replace the money that they now bring in?
So it's really all across the board. And so while people complain on the one hand, my taxes are too high, their cost of living is too high. Our energy costs are second highest only to Hawaii. We have sky-high healthcare costs. We have, if you want to fix something in your house, it costs a crazy amount to do it. And it's all kinds of regulations that we put in place. And we on our website, you go to our plan, davidstemmerman.com, we talked about all things we need to do. One of the areas that's a problem is that we're preventing people from getting a job and pursuing an opportunity. We have these crazy occupational licensing restrictions. We're the only state in the country where you need a license to operate a conveyor belt. We regulate hypnotists to hairdressers, and we do it in such a way. We had people come here after Hurricane Gloria from Puerto Rico. They wanted to get a job, and because the occupational licensing restrictions are so great here, instead they're on welfare getting supported by the state. It's crazy. We need to make those kinds of changes.
And the business entity tax is one you want to eliminate?
You better believe it.
Why?
So the business entity tax
brings in a lot of money to the state, a lot of revenue right now.
I don't think the facts support that it brings in a lot of revenue. The business entity tax is a tax that as soon as you begin a business, we immediately slap a tax on you. And it's actually more of a nuisance tax. There are about 200 taxes and fees in this state where it costs more money to administer them than we actually get in regulations. So that's going to be an easy place to start. If I'm governor, what you can expect from me is a press conference in which I read, and it'll probably take about half an hour, I'm going to read every single one of these, and the business entity tax is going to be one of them. But it's important as people know about taxes. I grew up in Massachusetts when it was known as Taxachusetts, and people and businesses were leaving. And now Massachusetts has lower taxes than we do, and the uniform of the Boston Celtics has the logo of GE on it. We have to cut our taxes. But some of my competitors are saying we're going to eliminate the personal income tax. The Hartford Courant says this is a pie-in-the-sky idea. There's not a way in the world that the numbers work. And in our campaign, we're not offering empty promises. That's how we've gotten into this mess that we're in today. We have on our website a specific plan of how we're going to cut taxes. Go from 7 brackets to 3. The first $10,000, you're going to pay nothing. The middle bracket, instead of 5 to 5.5, you're going to pay 4, and the top bracket is going to be 5. Go look it on the website, and we tell you how much it costs, how we're going to pay for it.
David Stemmerman, Republican candidate for governor. We'll see you back here in studio August 7th for our Republican debate with your 4 colleagues.
Dennis, thanks very much.
When we come back, we will talk to a woman who wants to be a heartbeat away from the governor. And you can watch past editions of Face the State right now on our website and the Channel 3 app.